Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm outside in the garden this afternoon along with a lot of birds and wind and things going on in the garden. So I'll do this intro and then we will switch to a voiceover. But I'm out here next to my dahlias because it is time for me to lift up the tubers and store them for a few months before I replant them in spring, when I'm going to be dividing these and maybe picking a new spot in the garden to have my dahlia patch. So if you're new here, hello, my name is Robyn. I run a small backyard flower farm here on the south coast of New South Wales, Australia, where we sell local seasonal cut flowers as well as botanical products at the markets and soon to be online as well. And this past season has actually been my first time growing dahlias. So it's been a big learning curve for me coming down from the subtropics to an area that is a little bit more conducive to growing dahlias. And because this was my first year growing dahlias, it's also my first year digging the tubers up and storing them. So this is not really a how-to video, but I'm sharing just what I'm doing in case you're interested. I would love any feedback and tips on dahlia storing if you do have any. But this video is just going to be a nice quick one sharing what I am doing to store my dahlias, how I'm lifting them up. So we're going to switch to a voiceover to kind of reduce the background noise a little bit, and I'll share what I'm up to. So this is the area that I was growing my dahlias this year. It was a pretty small area because I only had about 6 plants or so that I was growing. I got most of these tubers from Dahlia and I really enjoyed the selection that they had on the website, so I'll probably look there again, as well as a few other smaller flower farmers to get my tubers this year. But this is what they're looking like before I pulled the dahlias out of the ground. Some of them you saw earlier completely died back. These ones are definitely on their way. You can see that the leaves are starting to dry out and really crisp up. When the leaves start dying back and even start looking like these two here, that's when you can start to dig the tubers up. It's an indication that the plant is dying back and getting ready for winter. There were a few other seed heads on there, so I was saving all of those seed pods to see what other flowers I could produce from these dahlias. So there's 2 ways you can reproduce dahlias, I suppose, from seed and tubers. I'm showing you how to store and remove tubers today, and these are the tools that I'm just using, some secateurs and pretty much just a fork. That's all you're going to need to lift up those tubers. So when you pull up the dahlia tubers, you're going to get the flower that is true to the tuber that you planted originally. So if you enjoy the flower that you had all season, it's best to divide the tubers. And I should have prefaced this video by saying the reason why you might want to divide tubers and pull them up and store them is either if you have a really wet and cold or humid environment where the tubers are likely to either rot or freeze underground. So I don't have that here. Really, I could definitely keep my tubers in the soil. The reason why I'm digging mine up is so that I can divide them and get future different plants in spring. So all of these different tubers that you can see here after I lifted this particular plant out of the ground, they will produce new dahlia plants, and I can have many more than the one that I just started out with. I'll run through the process of what I'm doing again in the next time that I pull up the tubers, but here I'm just placing the label around the neck of the stem, just so that I know what variety it is. This one here was Thelma Maud, definitely not my favorite, so yeah, I wasn't too upset that some of the tubers didn't look fantastic. They were kind of falling off a bit. Same with this one here. I don't actually know the name of this one that I'm pulling up now, but it's a really small ball pink dahlia. I think it might be called Pam, I think. I got this one from the seed collection, and to be honest, I really didn't love the variety. It just didn't really produce a very healthy plant, but I am going to still save some of the tubers to see if I can get some other healthy plants, because it would be nice to have some smaller little dahlias as well. So the process of what I'm doing here, I'm cutting back the plant so that I have about at least 10 centimeters above the ground, and then just digging up the tuber like you would a potato, being really careful to not kind of spear the different tubers. This is a photo of what this one is here. It's called Ned Kelly, and it's definitely one of my favorites. I really loved this dahlia, and I'm just lightly taking it up out of the soil and removing as much soil as I can. I'm going to wash these later to then store them, but you can see that there was a few worms in here, and I really just want to remove all of those so that the tubers can store well. So yeah, I'm definitely going to see if I can get some more tubers off this of this variety, because it is absolutely stunning. As is this one here. This one's called Cashmere, and I really loved it. It produced a really healthy plant and really great flowers. The only thing with this one, I can see the tubers, they looked just a little bit funny. I don't know whether it was all of this mycelium that was growing around the plant. There was a lot of worms also just in and around these tubers. I don't know how well it's going to store, but I'm still pulling it out and removing the soil, and I'll see how it goes. These ones here, I could have left in a little bit longer. Basically, when the plant dies back, it puts all of its energy then into the tubers, and the tubers store all of that energy from the season. And yeah, that's the reason why we wait until the plant starts to die back, because when it does so, it's not producing any more energy and photosynthesizing from the sun for all of the tubers to grow. The plant just ends up going dormant. So the one before was called Fire and Ice, which was a very beautiful dahlia, as is this one, which is called Pink Show. And this one was one of my favorites, and unfortunately the clump of this is going to be really hard to divide because it was probably my favorite dahlia, but I'll see what I can do. If not, I'm just going to plant the whole thing and I'll take cuttings of it, which is another way you can get new dahlia plants, and I'll show you that in spring. But for now, we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to store it, and hopefully I can figure out some division into spring. So this is all of the dahlias that I dug up. You can see they're all very different and beautiful in their own way. The next step, I'm going to take these over and give them a little bit of a wash before I store them. You definitely don't have to do this step, and I've seen a lot of people say don't do it. Some people say do it. It really depends on your climate and how humid it is. That's what I've heard. Again, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm trying to gently as I can remove the soil. Some of these I could have been a little bit more gentle because I did damage the skin of the tuber, so they may not store as well. I really honestly only need them to store for a few months, and then I will be planting them, so it's not really a long storage period, so I'm hoping that they'll be fine. But the reason why I'm just getting rid of all of this dirt is just to have them dry out a little bit quicker, and there were so many worms in these tubers, so I really needed to remove them out. Otherwise they would just be making a mess, and I'd rather have the worms back in the soil. Once I was giving them a little bit of a clean, I'm just going to store them in this shed for a little bit. It's nice and dry, and then after that I'm going to be storing them in a cardboard box without any vermiculite or soil. You can definitely store it with that, but I have a fairly humid climate. We're quite close to the coast, so thankfully there is a bit of humidity in the air. And again, I'm just going to check these every week or so, see how they go. And I'll definitely keep you updated on the process of how they store and how I can divide them into spring. Alright, that is it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. It was kind of a shorter one, just sharing how I dig and store dahlias. A big part of documenting this is my journey with the flower farm. So currently I don't really have a lot of dahlias compared to what I would love and what I will one day have for my flower farm, but I'm slowly going to be building up my collection each year, and I mean, dahlia tubers are so expensive. They could be like $15 each for some really great varieties. So if I can be saving my own tubers, I'm going to be saving lots more money and growing more of what I really love, which is a lot of the varieties that I do have at the moment. And I will slowly build that collection up and one day have a plethora of dahlias in the garden to enjoy. I'm very excited for that day, but for now I'm just going to keep it manageable and just work with what I've got, and that is a good selection. So I'll keep you updated on how they store and how I actually divide them and grow them in a few months. It's going to go really fast and I can't wait to have dahlias again in the garden. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. Please do let me know if you're growing dahlias right now, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere and yours are all growing. Let me know what varieties you're excited for this year, or if you're in Australia or the Southern Hemisphere, let me know if you've dug your dahlias, how you're storing them, and any tips that you have. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye.